What has happened in my state in the last few days is very difficult to express in words. But I did want to take a few moments to recognize an incredible thing that's occurring in the southwest portion of my state. Having been there all day yesterday, arriving very early in the morning, and spending time with the people of Joplin, with Missourians who have come to Joplin from every corner of our state, with federal officials, I do want to take just a short amount of time to recognize the tragedy and to rejoice in the response. The loss of life is staggering. An F5 tornado, we now know, the strongest tornado classification. In fact, this is the most devastating and damaging tornado that we've had in this country in almost 60 years. I have responded to many, many natural disasters in Missouri during my time as a public official. Lots of tornadoes, flooding. I have never seen a scene that even comes close to what I observed yesterday. Walking among the rubble, you realize that what you're walking through are people's lives that have been spread far and wide and that in many ways cannot be recovered, cannot be made exactly as it was before. What I observed yesterday as friends and neighbors were standing by hoping for a miracle as firefighters from Kansas City dug under the rubble at the Walmart, hoping that they were going to find someone there that was alive, as I witnessed other people going through the rubble of their homes and talking to them. I think the initial reaction for the people of Joplin was intense gratitude that they were alive, and now it's being replaced with the reality of their loss and what they have lost, from schools to churches to a hospital that employs over 2,000 people in a community of just at 50,000. This is an incredible loss. But the pain is palpable on these people's faces, and that is why it is so important that we don't lose sight of what they're going to need over the coming weeks, months, yes, and even years. The response that I witnessed in terms of what was on the ground was remarkable. From federal, state, first responders, local communities, and obviously the officials of Joplin, Missouri, all working together seamlessly as a team. The federal government, unlike many disasters where they wait several weeks to declare a disaster, they obviously understood that flexibility and the immediacy of the response was incredibly important in this instance, and they declared a disaster within 18 hours of when the tornado occurred. FEMA had people on the ground within 12 hours. The National Guard deployed. They had National Guardsmen there before midnight, and since that moment on, more and more people have been responding with more and more assets to help the people of Joplin and the recovery effort. I want to call out particularly the fire chief in Joplin and the city manager in Joplin, who have done remarkable work. The state of Missouri, Governor Nixon, has been on the ground for much of the last 72 hours. Along with his team, he is bringing his cabinet heads down to Joplin to work on various parts of this over the next 48 hours, along with sub-cabinet members from the federal government, housing, HHS, to be of assistance. And let me just take a minute to talk about the first responders. I am so proud of the police and firefighters that I encountered yesterday. I am so proud of these men and women. As I looked around, I realized that there were search and rescue teams from every corner of our state. Task Force 1 was there from Central Missouri. Almost 100 Kansas City firefighters were there, and I had an opportunity to visit with many of them as they were attempting a rescue scene yesterday afternoon. 3 o'clock in the morning, yesterday morning, a caravan from St. Louis of over 100 firefighters and all of their equipment and assets rolled down I-44 to get to Joplin to help their brothers and sisters in terms of this effort. St. Francis County, Camden County, you name it, from all over the state, police and firefighters and public safety officials responded to Joplin. I am so proud of Joplin for its response to this. This is a community of great faith. This is a community that will come together like a lot of Midwest communities do in circumstances when their neighbors are in trouble. And everywhere I have gone in Missouri, in fact, our phones are ringing off the hook. What do we need to do to help from Missourians? Frankly, right now, the most important things people can do are give blood, to donate to the Salvation Army and Red Cross, and to wait to hear from the officials in Joplin when volunteers are needed. In this instance, we're going to need to sustain the support to this community far beyond the headlines, far beyond the satellite trucks going home. We've got to get these schools open in September. We've got to get this hospital rebuilt. We've got to make sure that this community is not left stranded without the assistance it needs. There is no question we have to be careful about the way we spend federal money. But with all due respect to Congressman Cantor, I have a hard time believing that if this were in his congressional district, he would be talking about how additional disaster relief would not be available unless we found some other program to take it from. It must be available. This cannot be a political football. We must provide the assistance. My heart goes out to the families for their losses. I want to congratulate the people of Joplin for their response. I want to say bless you to all those first responders. And I want to say that through the greatest tragedy, sometimes comes the greatest strength.